Hey, it's Mr. Leatherwood, and today I'm going to teach you how to subtract mixed numbers, but I'm going to make them tricky numbers, and I'll show you what I mean. Let's do 4 1/4 minus 2 2/6. And we're going to do the same problem a few different ways. So the first way I'm going to show you is regrouping. And I'll show you why I need to regroup here in just a second. So the first thing we need to do always when we're subtracting or adding fractions is to make the denominator the same. And so we've already done that on a different video, so I'm going to pick 12. So I'm going to change my denominator to 12 because both 4 and 6 can have a multiple of 12. Okay, so now I'm going to figure out up here at the top how I went from 4 to 12. Well, I did 4 times 3, so I'm going to do 1 times 3, and I'm going to get 3/12, and my whole number is just going to come over, because really what I'm doing is making a new problem. And then 6, I went from 6 to 12, doing 6 times 2, so I'm going to do 2 times 2 to get 4. And then again, my whole number is going to come over. And now I have this new problem. Same quantity, they just look different because of the numbers. So here's why they're tricky. It's because if you notice, I can do 4 minus 2 just fine, but I can't do 3 minus 4. So I'm going to have to regroup. And so when I regroup, I'm going to mark out my 4. I'm going to turn it into a 3. Now what I don't want to do, this is wrong, I don't want to just add a 1 here, or a group of 10 like we normally would when we're subtracting. So let me erase that because that is wrong. What I do want to do, when I took this whole here, I have to remember that I'm taking one whole with a denominator of 12. And so, like I say in class, something over itself is always going to equal 1. And so since my denominator is 12, I'm going to add 12 over 12 because that's one whole. And if you look over here, I took one whole from my big whole number here. So then, and I recommend writing it this way for a while. After a while, you'll start to realize that, oh, I'm really just adding 12 and 3, because when I add 12 plus 3 here, I'm going to get 15/12. And then I'm going to bring my 3 over here. And then everything else just comes straight over because I'm not going to change anything on the bottom. Now, you may think, oh no, I have an improper fractions. Why did I do that? Well, it doesn't matter because in a second we're going to subtract and we're going to need it. Because now I can subtract 15 minus 4. That's going to be an easy number for me. So 15 minus 4 is 11. My bottom number is going to stay the same. And then my whole numbers I usually say for the last, I'm just going to subtract 3 minus 2, and I get 1. So that's how I use regrouping. The big trick here, the big thing to pay attention to is when I regroup, when I take something from my whole number, I have to add a whole number. And the way I pick this number right here is I look at my denominator and I just put it over itself, because anything over itself is going to be 1. 12 over 12, 3 over 3, 6 over 6, squirrel over squirrel, doesn't matter. It's always going to be 1. So then the second thing to remember is make sure you add these together to get my new number of 15/12. And like I said, I would get in the habit of writing this for a while, and then eventually you're going to realize that, oh, I'm adding 12 plus 3 to get my 15 over here. All right, so that's one way. Let me show you 2 other ways. So I'm going to use the same problem just so we can kind of stay consistent. This way is, I don't want to, maybe I'm not good at regrouping, but I'm good at turning a mixed number into an improper fraction. And so this way is a pretty cool way to do it. So I'm going to turn this into an improper fraction, both numbers. So I'm going to change 4 1/4 to an improper fraction. I'm going to change 2 2/6 to an improper fraction. And if you're having trouble remembering how to do that, let me show you real quick. I'll do a little mini lesson on it. So let's say we have 4 1/4. I am going to multiply 4 times 4, and that gives me 16, and I'm going to add 1, which gives me 17/4. Because really what I'm doing is I'm adding 4/4 plus 4/4 plus 4/4 plus 4/4, because that's my 4 wholes, plus 1/4, which ends up giving me my 17/4. Okay, so that's the logic behind it. Let me go ahead and get rid of that, and we'll finish our problem. Alright, so we're going to change this. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17/4. And then the bottom one here, if I do 6 times 2, that gives me 12, plus 2 more will be 14. You're like, okay. Oh, 14/6. My bad. Hold on. Okay. Now I'm going to switch my common denominator, or I need a common denominator. So again, I'm going to change them to 12. And you could have done this before if you wanted to. Okay. So 6 times 2 is 12, so 14 times 2 is going to be 28. 4 times 3 is 12, so 17 times 3, ooh, I always forget this one. I think it's 51. Now you can see, I don't have to worry about regrouping or anything. I can just subtract straight down, 51 minus 28 to get my answer. So 51 minus 28, if you have trouble doing that, we'll write it out over here. Need to regroup. So we get 2, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I get 23/12. Then I reverse it. I change it from an improper fraction to a mixed number. So 12 goes into 23 one time with 11 left over, and then 12 stays the same. So you'll notice I got the exact same answer, 1 and 11/12. I think when I was a kiddo, this was my favorite way to do it because I wasn't very good at regrouping. But some of y'all are going to be really good at regrouping and not very good at this. So you just have to pick whatever helps you the most, I guess. Some of you are really good at changing mixed numbers to improper fractions, so this may be your best way. Alright, let me show you one more method. The next method I learned in grad school when I was getting my master's degree. I had this really awesome math professor. He's like, oh, let me show you this cool little way to do it. So I wanted to show y'all and see if y'all like it. So give me just a second. Alright, my last way, I'm going to start off doing the same thing I did the very first method. So I'm just going to find a common denominator. And we've done this a couple of times, so we know the number is going to be 12. Just a refresher, 4 times 3 was 12, so 3 times 1 is going to be 3. I'm going to bring my whole number over. 6 times 2 is 12, so 2 times 2 is 4, and bring my whole number over. And this is where we got to the point going, uh-oh, we can't subtract. We can subtract 4 minus 2 just fine, but we can't subtract 3 minus 4, unless we want to go into the negatives, which we don't want to do. So the theory behind this one is I want to get rid of this bottom fraction altogether. I want to make it really easy to subtract. And the way I do that is I'm going to add whatever I need to make this one whole. So I can get rid of this fraction and make this into a 3. And so I know that a whole is going to be 12 over 12. So what I need to add to it is going to be 8 over 12. Because 8 plus 4 is 12, which equals 1 whole, plus my whole number is going to give me just a whole number of 3. Okay? And the way I pick this number is I pick any number, whatever I need to add to this to make it one more whole. So it's going to be different every single problem. On this one, 4 twelfths plus 8 twelfths equals 12 twelfths, which is 1 whole, so I add it to this to get 3. Now here's the one part you want to make sure that you do. In math, you're going to find that it's important to balance things, so whatever I do on the bottom, I have to do on the top. So I'm going to add 8 twelfths up here. Okay, and you'll see it's going to make a pretty cool trick. So 8 plus 3 equals 11. It's going to be 11 twelfths. And then the 4 is just going to come over. The reason this method is pretty cool is because now I have nothing down here. So 11/12 minus nothing is going to give me my 11/12. I don't have to worry about anything. It just moves straight down. And then my whole number is 4 minus 3 gets me 1. And just like before, I get 1 and 11/12. So it's a really cool method. This is probably my favorite way to do it. I didn't learn it until I was teaching. It was my second year of teaching when I taught at Griffin Middle School. And I really thought it was a cool way. So this is my new favorite way of doing it. But like I said, here's 3 ways. You pick which way you want to do it. And just practice over and over. And I think you'll come up with a cool little method to use for the rest of your life. Until we come up with a cooler method. All right. Enjoy. And I hope you pick one that is easy for you.